ultimately जो मैं when I was 14 मैं जैसे सोचता था मैं आज भी वैसे ही सोचता हूँ because as a kid I enjoyed things because of their enjoyment quotient, not because of their learning quotient.
Hi guys, welcome to another episode of the Rangman Show. Your OG host Pranay is back. I was in hibernation and today I have a very special guest on the Rangman Show. He's a 25-year communication veteran. He's mined some brilliant insights, worked on some fantastic campaigns, and he's taking that communication know-how to develop some interesting stuff for kids. We've already done 2 podcasts on kids and we're trying to build this as a property where anyone who wants to engage with kids knows the best way to do it. And here is Mohit sir. Welcome Mohit sir on the Rangman Show.
Thank you, Pranay, and thanks for this slightly or very exaggerated introduction.
Nothing is exaggerated on the channel, guys. So communication में आपने 25 साल बिताए and I have got the good fortune of working with you for the last like half a decade. तो जो भी आपने communication में सीखा वहाँ से आपने kids की तरफ कैसे? How did you make that progression?
So yeah, I think it started with one very important or sudden realization I had as an adult, and not as a young adult, but as a proper, maybe in my 30s I had that, which basically has my process of thinking changed from back when I was say 16 or back when I was 8. Yes, of course, our context, our environment, and hence our learnings, our experiences shape the way we talk, we think, we act. पर मेरे को क्या लगता है ना, ultimately जो मैं when I was 14 मैं जैसे सोचता था मैं आज भी वैसे ही सोचता हूँ. So all this thing bull about adulthood and your thinking and being wiser, and it's just shaped by experiences. Ultimately the core of the way you think and the way you behave is what a well-behaved kid or a teenager would do. Right. So I think that is where it started कि ultimately यार सब लोग ही वैसे सोचते हैं, सिर्फ मैं शायद नहीं हूँ. And I spoke to a couple of my other people and they all said, and they all crossed 40 and like हाँ यार मतलब our fathers were slightly different in the way they behaved, but maybe they were the same. So that's when I thought that this is one space, which is very interesting and fertile to work with as far as communication goes in terms of mindsets. My second observation came from the fact that because I got kids, and they're 8 and 12 right now, and a few years back I realized they're all hooked to the screen. And in my heyday, as there were a lot of print magazines which were entertaining, and how the algos work. So if you scroll on one print magazines, all others will show. So on my feed I started getting videos of reels of so many print magazines which are out there today, which I didn't even know. But all of them were talking about professing or giving gyan to kids. While of course because it's social media, the TG was their parent probably. It was about make your kid learn so and make your kid great in science, or it's all about achieving something which is academic stroke non-academic, but it ticks a certain check mark in the families or the kids or the parents head. Now my point is, why is that even important? Because as a kid I enjoyed things because of their enjoyment quotient, not because of their learning quotient. Any learning has to happen as a byproduct.
Right.
तो मुझे लगता है यार हम लोग ना बच्चों को बहुत ज्ञान बांटते रहते हैं, कोई मिलता है वो आपके बच्चों को ऐसा करना चाहिए, ऐसा करना, just let them be. That doesn't mean they go all over the place and you don't train them or teach them what needs to be done, but within those confines they have to be free to enjoy the way they deem fit. That doesn't mean of course you give them 24-hour video games, but that does mean that do not force them with what you think. Education is separate. It's like food. Health food is separate. Don't try and mess around with my taste habits. Yes, a little bit of health is fine, but आप मेरे को snack food healthy के नाम पे तो नहीं बेच सकते. It's a similar thing. So that's where these two learnings shaped the way I started writing for kids. Or
so I was coming to that. जो आप columns लिखते हो, so आप जैसे बोल रहे थे कि you should like come to their level to speak to them rather than trying to like profuse some ज्ञान on them. तो in terms of that, आपको क्या लगता है कि practically what should they be doing so that they become more well-rounded? और आप अपने column से what's the learning you try to bring to the table?
See, other than this column, what I did was I started writing, as a hobby
हाँ.
long back when I was in school and later in college. And that time there were a lot of platforms to where your writings got featured.
Hmm.
Yeah, so I tasted, and those were at that time were incidents which happened in my life. So the inspiration was real life stuff, which all fiction has.
Hmm.
And I kind of gotten that into because of two reasons. One is what I mentioned to you
Hmm.
about pure entertainment and
Hmm.
enjoyment for kids.
Hmm.
Think like a kid.
Hmm.
The second one I used to, if you have to survive today, the platforms for an emerging writer are very limited. A,
Hmm.
because the reading habits have gone down like crazy, and B, everything is highly selective, and
Hmm.
otherwise you can get into self publication, which I don't know how effective that is.
Hmm.
Yes, it works for great writers, but what I thought, I need to create
Hmm.
a niche where which is not many people are talking about.
Hmm.
So if you look at all the great and series,
Hmm.
books,
Hmm.
OTT, movies, they all try to put a different part of your mind to work, right? So if you look at Alexander McCall Smith's The Number One Ladies
Hmm.
Detective Agency, for example, it is set in Gaborone. It gives you that African way of life
Hmm.
in a certain
Hmm.
way. If you look at Murakami, it's all
Hmm.
about magical realism. His two,
Hmm.
three romantic novels haven't really worked for me,
Hmm.
but yeah. So there's a certain niche each one occupies. You
Hmm.
look at another writer, I don't know if you've heard of him. He's an English writer called Tarkin Hall.
Hmm.
And he's created this Delhi detective called Vishpuri. It's all about Delhi mannerisms.
Hmm.
So all of them are writing about stuff they know well.
Hmm.
Yeah, because then the research, where what to research.
Hmm.
A and B, that it is a niche. So
Hmm.
what do I know best?
Hmm.
I know best when I used to write for kids,
Hmm.
because I was a kid.
Hmm.
And I, like I said, I
Hmm.
think we all still think like kids.
Hmm.
So this writing for kids does became a natural inspiration for me, because that's the a familiar territory for me in that sense. And B, because I think that sets a niche, or
Hmm.
that puts you in some sort of niche, because all others are writing for everyone.
Hmm.
And I looked up at platforms for kids, so
Hmm.
Children Book Trust and so
Hmm.
on, and I found some success there, and which is why I thought this is a good space to work on.
Hmm.
Then I worked simultaneously. I was working on various kids brands and communication for them,
Hmm.
and I had the opportunity to feature in a couple of marketing forums for kids, where I
Hmm.
discovered what brands are actually doing, and maybe what they should be doing, what they should not be doing.
Hmm.
So that is how really this interest in this entire I'm calling it mine of
Hmm. Hmm.
talking to
Hmm.
kids, whether as an advertiser, whether as a parent, whether
Hmm.
as a friend, whether as an uncle, whether
Hmm.
as whoever.
So, what are the best pieces of work, Mohit, sir, that you've written and which you feel have really made a difference for kids?
यार वो
Is there a way of judging that जब आप कुछ लिखते हो तो वो कितना impactful है? Like, do you get a response? Do people speak about it? Do parents speak to you? Do kids, in fact, like sort of uh, take something from there? ऐसा कुछ मतलब, is there a mechanism to know how is that working?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's not like that I have a metric in my head which counts the number of likes and engagements. But
Unfortunately, हमारी लाइफ में वही एक metric.
correct. But मुझे लगता है ना, everything, be it the work that you talked about, or be it anything that one does, are you more satisfied with what you did just now versus what you did last time?
हाँ,
And I
right.
think that is a good parameter to have. If I feel यार ये वाली presentation ना मैंने last story लिखी थी उससे ज़्यादा satisfaction मिल रहा है मेरे, then I feel proud of it.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that some of your earlier works you can't be proud of. Yeah.
Right.
Because obviously, when you start working on something, and there's something I learned in one of the, or I imbibed in one of the ad agencies you and I had the opportunity of working together with, and it is about relentless pursuit of excellence. Yeah.
Right.
You may have something which is approved, like, but that doesn't mean you can't improve on it.
Of
Yeah.
course.
So we should all try. Not, I am not saying that I'm there. We all are trying to be somewhere above. There's no there. So the work that has worked for me the most, and it was probably my first work, and that series I have developed now after I've taken after like 15 years to go back into that. And I remember that very well. It was my, I think, my 12th class board exams, and there was maths, and I was just sick and tired, and I thought I want to write this piece. And somehow, that piece dictated itself through my pen. At that time, there were no laptops, so I was writing, and uh, I forgot all about it. I'd written, but then I found this Times Group publication called The Metropolis on Saturday, which had a youth page and which was inviting stories. So I just sent it, and I was this time I was in my engineering, so we didn't have access in my hostel to that particular newspaper. So one of my friends, he saw it and like, "Tera kuch publish hua hai."
Wow.
And I saw it. So they had changed the name, but they had not edited the thing very much. Only one or two words here and there, and that to me was I was very proud of that, and I got my first income because of that. That was a
Wow.
princely sum of rupees 500 I got for that. But I think that short piece of fiction, it is called Stones at Sea Bay, and it was around this 18-year-old criminal-minded person called Sam Singh. Yeah.
Samsung.
Sam Singh. At that time, I wanted to have names which are religion agnostic. Yeah. So I had names from Hinduism, Islam, Christianity, Parsis, all joined together as names and surnames. Maybe it was a kid's idea of, seeking a secular outlook, but that's how it worked and works beautifully for me even today. And I have written 3 or 4 Samsungs post that, all of them published. So yeah, that is something I'm really proud of because that set me the tone for doing things.
तो आप तो कैरेक्टर बिल्डिंग कर रहे हो मोहित सर.
थोड़ा बहुत हो जाता है, which is good also ना.
आपको याद है couple of years back you and me were working for an agency and we had the fortune of working on one kids piece together जहाँ पे आपने एक बहुत beautiful insight और एक proposition बनाई थी, be the hero of your own story. I won't name the brand, but you had like really shown me the way to go about in terms of developing comms for kids, and that was actually a very good learning. The reason that I bring that up is that अभी हमने individual perspective की बात की है. How do you think brands are reaching out to kids?
See, again, brands are reaching out to kids through a lot of many brands are doing a lot of interesting stuff to reach out to kids. You look at fast food joints. I think because the category itself is like a kid magnet, they talk very seamless to kids, and kids get what they're talking. Yeah. Other brands which are trying to increase their reach to kids, which could be non-chip snack brands, they have faced limited success. But the point is that all are trying to talk like kids. Now, there I have one word of caution which I find a little not disturbing, which I find a little. I find some sort of pretense in it that there's this perception, or rather, it's the truth that Gen Z or Gen Alpha talks and thinks very differently from us or from each other. A Gen Alpha and a Gen Z won't. But I think more of that is what the narrative is. Ultimately, human beings think very similar. A manifestation will be so. Many brands try to get into this Gen Alpha or Gen Z lingo and try to pretend to be cool, and I think that is a put off for most kids, and I don't think that works. So I think we should. The idea of brands is you take what they are thinking, but put it in your brand flavor and serve it. Many brands are doing that greatly, but I think some brands are trying to be a kid as they are shown to be today, and I think that is something best avoidable. Yeah, be yourself, but talk in what the other is comfortable with, not necessarily talk his lingo, because that just makes you more of an outsider. And that's the way I think overall some brands are trying to do this, which I'm not really a great proponent of.
Right. So Mohit sir, when you develop stories, communication for kids, so do you take some learnings from there and do you use that in your profession also of advertising, communication? मतलब कुछ आपको कहीं पे कुछ overlap दिखता है?
I think पूरा overlap दिखता है. हाँ. Because like I said, A, your thinking patterns don't change. And B, when you're writing, see, ultimately, when you write, whether it's a story or an article or when you create a PowerPoint presentation, one is purely work I do for, the others are, could be a hobby, could be work for someone. But the fact is, you have to have, your thought has to be organized and nuanced, right? You have to come to a point in either. If it's a story, I have to take it to its conclusion, given it the various characters, the way they think, the way I want to shape the story, or in a PPT where I have to come to some sort of a point, whether it's what the TG thinks and talks like, or whether what the brand should stand for. You have to, it's a process of funnelization and coming to a point. Now, both try and give you some sort of an ability to nuance stuff. And also, number two, what is writing all about? Writing is about understanding your target audience and serving them what you think they will like.
Yeah.
And what is advertising? Advertising is serving, thinking what your target audience wants, what are their beliefs, perceptions, what are the insights you can draw from them, and serving communication to them. So I think they rub off each other because you have to get to know your audience in a very nuanced way. And when you put things on paper or PPT for that matter, you get that nuancing vis-a-vis your TG perfectly. And I think that's
Right.
where these two worlds meet
Right.
and they help each other.
Right.
I sometimes think that, oh, I had written this, but there's this thought that I can put to use because I think it'll really shine here. And I do that, and vice versa. I think most of us, it's not just about advertising and writing. I think most of us use stuff that we do in different walks of life and use it in an entirely different area. And I think that's natural because we as humans, yes, we categorize, but there's a lot of, I think our neurons are not as segregated as a computer chips are, right? So they mix and they merge and thoughts overlap and thoughts change and thoughts give way to other thoughts.
Right.
And that's how it evolves. And that's what I feel.
No, you're right, Mohit, because even from a sports writing standpoint that I do, I mean, you observe people, you gather some insights, you try to put them into a sporting context, and you put it out there.
Absolutely.
That's
So I'm sure you would have
yeah.
seen how when you say work for some brand, how the thinking there and the thinking there actually, are cohesive. They act for each other.
Yeah, it merges at some point.
Yeah.
तो मोहित सर एक बात बताइए, तो यू हैव अ 8 year old, यू हैव अ 12 year old, तो कभी वो आपकी राइटिंग में इन्फ्लुएंस करता है जब आप बच्चों के लिए लिख रहे हो?
यार अब मेरे बच्चे ना वो somehow they are not
वो आपका काम पढ़ते तो है ना?
that is something I would not know fully. So to engage them better, in my last piece, I kind of use their names as the characters. I tried to get some sort of a mind print of theirs onto the writing. I don't know if it made my work very interesting because I don't find them showing it to other kids. So I guess I'm not there as far as their thinking goes. But yeah, these are some trials I do to get them into. But what has it done, achieved for me, whether they'll read me or not, I don't write that often also. But they have gotten a little more into reading than they were, which I think is fine.
Which is somewhat also a battled one, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
तो मोहित सर और कुछ बताइए इस पे, and then give a shout out to us and tell us about the experience that it's been for you coming on the Rangman show.
यार मैं कह रहा हूँ आजकल ना, and this is not a task I'm giving. I'm just saying that we all write. Yeah, nowadays we put something on Insta, we'll put something on Facebook, we'll write somewhere. LinkedIn will put something. We may write, we may work in a professional piece. I'm saying, let us think of one thing that we are really, really passionate about. Yeah. And passion is what makes you post things on social, right? Because you're passionate about something, you feel about it, you want to write. And write it like a nuanced piece. Think of the output that you want to serve to the people. Make your points and come to that. And then see, is there any difference from what you had posted previously to what you have done? And I think if yes, then we should try and profess that more in our lives.
Right.
Now, again, this should not be like a gyan from me to you. I think it's a natural process, but it's just about thinking more layered. And that is what I would say. And I think the experience at the Rangman show has been fantastic. In fact, just to get some sort of into the zone, I saw a few episodes last night, so because I wanted to be like fully prepared. I thought there are some beautiful insights that have floated in many episodes. I know many of the people that have featured there. But again, when you make them sit and talk, you get to hear stuff which you may not hear from them in an everyday conversation.
Right.
Yeah, because here your focus is clearly about that subject that they're talking about. And I think there are words of wisdom there for all of us to follow. Again, as adults now, and this I would like to be a sign off for this, as adults, you actively seek information. Right. Yeah. That's why you have corporate workshops and you have, but as kids, you don't actively seek it. Yes, you can, while studying, that is separate. But for your life beyond school or beyond study, beyond exam, you seek what makes you, what gives you fun, what engages you most. That's why video games work, right? So I think we all, whether as writers, as parents, as marketers, as human beings, as kids, as adults, we need to look there and talk to them like that.
That was awesome. So, guys, this was another hero on the channel in Mohit Ahuja who's spoken so beautifully about brands, about kids, how brands are reaching out to kids, how he's reaching out to kids, how there's an overlap between advertising and what he's doing for kids, how less is more. And till we bring you another episode on the Rangman Show, please like, share, subscribe. जब आप हमें प्यार देते हो तो हमारा चैनल बढ़ता है. Thank you again, Mohit sir, for featuring on
My
the
pleasure.
channel. It's been really great talking to you. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.